Twitter has become the latest battleground for a number of high-profile arguments and disagreements. From politicians to celebrities, everyone is using social media to voice their opinions and spar with their opponents. Recently, Dr. Craig Wright, who came up with the idea for Bitcoin, and Ripple CTO David Schwartz are still arguing about it on the social media platform. Ripple CTO David Schwartz lectured again by Dr. Craig Wright. Let's see, do the parts that Schwartz picked out have anything to do with the fact that governments can't touch Bitcoin? The whole section of the white paper that was used as an example starts with the word commerce. The first part of the Bitcoin white paper, introduction, talks about business, not about government. In another tweet, Schwartz shows that his understanding is based on how he interprets the words, since what he says is not directly stated in the Bitcoin white paper's introduction. So we are now talking about Schwartz's view, not what the introduction of the Bitcoin white paper says. We get Schwartz's point. What does Dr. Wright mean by differentiating between trusted parties and trusted third party? Bitcoin is not a system that you can't trust. Satoshi Nakamoto solved the problem of how to make electronic cash work. Part of this puzzle was the fact that observers and payment systems could not be trusted because they were not known. In Bitcoin, nodes are the ones who watch, but economic incentives make it so that they can't stay anonymous. So Bitcoin still has people we can trust. These are not, however, third parties. They are not outside of the Bitcoin network, they are part of it. This is what Dr. Wright wrote about in his article Solving Double Spending. So Bitcoin was made to be a token that could be bought and sold. By basing security on an economic process in which people are paid tokens to validate transactions, a commercial system can be built in which nodes with economic incentives compete to validate solutions. This takes away the anonymity of observer system. Again, the business system. That has nothing to do with governments in general. It doesn't say anything for or against the government. It's just about business. Because of this, Satoshi Nakamoto did talk about the banking system, which is part of the commercial system. Schwartz, the CTO of Ripple, is trying to figure out what the Bitcoin white paper means instead of understanding how Bitcoin works as a solution to the puzzle of electronic cash. Schwartz can learn more about the academic history of digital cash systems, which have been talked about since at least 1994, by reading Dr. Wright's article, Solving Double Spending. Satoshi Nakamoto did not wake up one day with the idea of Bitcoin. In fact, it was the other way around. It came out of a discussion of electronic cash from an academic point of view. Bitcoin is not against governments. It is not even against banks. We've already said that Bitcoin is not and can't be a solution to political problems. Check out what happened with Bitcoin and the Canadian trucker protest. No, Satoshi Nakamoto did not say that. Schwartz clearly distrusts the government. History books provide a glimpse of government power, but show me the technology that made government problems go away. It makes sense for the government to use any technology. You shouldn't cite the Bitcoin white paper or PayPal terms of service to vote in a new government. Words have meanings. Also, governments are not third parties that can be trusted when it comes to Bitcoin. They aren't even people who can be trusted in Bitcoin. Because governments aren't in business but to ensure legal business, as in the free market. I think the business model for Ripple is about settlements, but I don't think Ripple's CTO David Schwartz knows what cash is. Bitcoin is complicated money. Bitcoin settles payments quickly, cheaply, and privately on a large scale. No one said that Bitcoin was easy to understand. David Schwartz might be trying to figure it out, but from what I can tell, he is not willing to dig deep enough. With his tweets, Dr. Wright is giving away free educational courses, but it's easier to just figure out what something means instead of studying it. That's why Dr. Wright and Schwartz keep tweeting back and forth without coming to a conclusion. One of them is studying and the other is arguing for his or her own view. Next, we weren't surprised to hear he was Satoshi. Craig Wright's cousin, Max Lynham, testifies. When Dr. Craig S. Wright's family found out he created Bitcoin, no one was surprised. During the recent Hodlonaut trial, where Wright defended himself against plaintiff Magnus Granath, his IT expert cousin Max Lynham told us another side of the story. The trial happened in Oslo, Norway, and had nothing to do with Wright's libel case against Granath in the UK. The trial in the UK hasn't happened yet. It's important to keep in mind that Bitcoin's history is both a technical and a human story. During the court trials, a lot of attention has been paid to specific documents, contracts, and messages that could reveal facts. But real-world events and conversations are just as important because they paint a fuller picture. Max Lynham says that he and Wright spent a lot of time together as kids and that they both became interested in computers and coding at a young age. This continued into adulthood, with the Lynham starting a high-end e-commerce business that sells flowers to the Middle East and Wright going into the field of cybersecurity. He says that their grandfather grandfather, Ronald Lynham, started the family's history in computing, electronics, and national service. We've heard more than once that Ronald helped with signals and breaking codes in the Pacific theater of World War II. Max's father, Donald, carried on the tradition, and Max himself left college to become an officer at Australia's Royal Military College, Duntroon. He then worked in Defence Intelligence Secure Communications at Watsonia Barracks in Melbourne. Dr. Wright worked for Lassiter's Casino and often talked about building online trading and tokenization networks to help people transfer and withdraw money in their own local currencies. The Bitcoin-specific portion of Max Lynham's testimony is similar to that of his father, Donald Lynham, at last year's trial in Florida against Ira Kleiman. In 2008, Dr. Wright asked the families if he could use their computers to test out some software. Even though they had big servers set up to run their e-commerce business, they still needed to upgrade the machines to do this. The year is important because the public didn't get to see the first version of the Bitcoin protocol until January 2009, but the software kept running on the machines for another 2 years. Max says he never really understood what the software did, but he thought it was some kind of validation process for a transaction in one of Dr. Wright's digital tokenization systems. After the global financial crisis caused high-end exports to drop, the family finally shut down its e-commerce business in 2011 and got rid of all the hardware. Wright didn't get more specific about anything until 2011, when he and Dr. Wright's families met in Melbourne. He asked Lynham if he still had the machines and told him he should have kept them because the 6,500 coins they had mined might be worth a lot of money someday. Lynham says he didn't know what mining was and didn't care much that the machines were gone. Even in 2011, 6,500 bitcoins weren't worth enough to worry about. That's not all. Like other witnesses at this trial and the Kleiman trial, Lynham says that Wright's interest in blockchain and digital tokenization systems became clear to him through a series of random chats and conversations. Over the course of several years, these conversations were like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle that fit together when Dr. Wright was outed as Satoshi Nakamoto at the end of 2015. Lynham says that before that year, he had always known that Dr. Wright was the creator of the Bitcoin project, but Lynham had never paid much attention to what was going on with Bitcoin or how mysterious its pseudonymous creator was. Once Wright's name was linked to Satoshi Nakamoto in public, Lynham thought it was great that Wright's work would get some attention. Granite's lawyer only spends a few minutes after asking Lynham about the dates and times when he heard about Dr. Wright's projects and if he had ever read the Bitcoin white paper. The mystery of who Satoshi Nakamoto is in the real world is not solved for sure by Lynham's testimony, but there's little doubt that Dr. Wright was interested in and working on Bitcoin and its blockchain structure before anyone outside of the Bitcoin community knew about it. Despite what you might hear in other media, Wright has a strong background in coding, especially when it comes to online currencies and tokenization, and there is now enough sworn testimony from different sources to make a strong case. As a bonus, Brunei's national policy shuts down 2 illegal block reward mining operations. The National Police of Brunei shut down 2 block reward mining operations that didn't have the proper licenses after a raid by the Department of Electrical Services, the Royal Brunei Police Force, and the Autoridi Electric Negara Brunei Darussalam. The illegal mining companies were shut down. According to the official report, 30 security agents stormed the buildings at Kampong Menglet and Kampong Sarasa while pretending to be running a legal business. Block reward mining rigs and machines were found at both locations, which was confirmed by the police. Both places used illegal power connections to hide the fact that they were mining, but it is not clear how long the operations have been going on. The RBPF confirms that the raids were done to keep electrical fires from causing damage to property and to protect people's lives. In the past few weeks, Brunei's law enforcement has been cracking down on illegal mining operations in the country. The raids on the 2 places come after 2 separate raids at the end of December that were both successful. Block reward mining has grown in Brunei because there is a lot of cheap electricity and there aren't any clear rules. In May 2022, SMI Vantage opened 4 mining facilities in Bandar Seri Begawan, the capital of Brunei. These facilities hold 1,500 mining rigs, but law enforcement may have taken a negative stance against illegal miners because of worries about the environment caused by the use of natural gas and the prospect of a cold winter. Unfortunately, that is all the time we had for today. Thanks for sticking with us till the very end. Make sure to like and subscribe for more amazing videos. Till next time, cheers!